Hayu. I greet you today not just as one man, but as a vessel for the stories of my people, the Nuche, the people. We are the Ute, the people of the shining mountains. Our history is etched not just in books written by others, but in the canyons, the peaks, the rivers, and the hearts of our children, passed down through generations like the enduring stone of our homelands. Since time immemorial, long before any ships touched the distant shores, the Nuche lived in the heart of the great mountains you now call the Rockies, and the vast basins and plateaus surrounding them. Our homeland was immense, stretching across lands now known as Colorado, Utah, parts of Wyoming, New Mexico, Arizona, and Oklahoma. We were not one single group, but many bands, like the Nuche, Capote, Wiminich, Uncompahgre, White River, Uinta, and others, united by language, kinship, and our deep connection to this sacred land. We lived by the rhythm of the seasons. We were hunters, gatherers, and caretakers of the land. In the warm months, we followed the deer, elk, and buffalo into the high mountain valleys, gathering berries, roots, and medicinal plants. Our women were skilled weavers, making strong baskets for carrying and storage. Our men were expert hunters, reading the tracks and the wind, providing for our families. We lived in wiccups, strong, temporary shelters made of brush and poles, easily moved as we followed the resources the land provided. Our spirituality was woven into the fabric of everyday life. The Creator, Senawov, watched over us, and the spirits of the mountains, the animals, and our ancestors guided us. We understood balance and respected all living things, taking only what we needed. A great change came sweeping from the south. The Spanish brought with them the caballo, the horse. We Nuche were among the first native peoples of this region to acquire and master these magnificent animals. The horse transformed our lives. It allowed us to travel further and faster, to hunt the great bison herds more effectively, and to become formidable warriors and skilled traders. Our territory, already vast, became more actively utilized. We became known for our horsemanship, our power growing across the mountains and onto the edges of the plains. We traded with neighboring tribes, sometimes peacefully with the Pueblo peoples to the south, sometimes engaging in conflict or raiding with plains tribes like the Comanche, Arapaho, and Cheyenne, or the Navajo, Dine, to the southwest. The horse deepened our connection to our lands, allowing us to defend them and utilize their bounty more fully. First came the Spanish explorers and missionaries, then French fur trappers, and finally, the Mericats, the Americans. Initially, interactions were often based on trade. We traded tanned hides, horses, and sometimes captives for metal tools, blankets, and guns. However, the newcomers arrived in ever-increasing numbers. They were driven by different desires: gold, land ownership, a belief called manifest destiny that told them this land was theirs for the taking. They did not understand our ways, our connection to the land, or that it could not be bought and sold like a trinket. The discovery of gold in the Colorado mountains in 1858 unleashed a flood of miners and settlers onto our ancestral lands. They disregarded our presence, fouled our streams, killed the game, and fenced the land, disrupting our traditional way of life. The pressure grew intense, and conflict became inevitable. The United States government sought to control the land and its resources. They began making treaties with us. Our leaders, like the wise and diplomatic Ure of the Uncompahgre band, tried to navigate these treacherous waters, seeking peace and the preservation of our people and as much of our land as possible. But treaty after treaty saw our vast homelands shrink. The Treaty of 1849 acknowledged our claims but began the process of cession. The Treaty of 1863 took much of our mountain lands in Colorado. The Treaty of 1868 established a large reservation, theoretically for our sole use, covering much of western Colorado. Yet, even these promises were broken. When more minerals were discovered on the reservation lands, the San Juan Cession of 1873, pressure mounted again. Settlers encroached, tensions rose. Government agents often misunderstood or actively sought to destroy our culture, demanding we become farmers on land ill-suited for it, forbidding our ceremonies, and trying to force our children into boarding schools designed to erase their identity. This pressure cooker exploded in 1879 at the White River Agency in Colorado. Agent Nathan Meeker, rigid and culturally insensitive, plowed up traditional horse racing grounds and pastures, escalating tensions. Conflict erupted, leading to the deaths of Meeker and his staff, and a subsequent battle between Ute warriors and U.S. soldiers at Mill Creek. Though many Ute bands, including those led by Ute, were not involved and sought peace, the outcry from settlers and politicians was overwhelming. Cries of, "The Utes must go," echoed through Colorado. Despite Chief Ute's desperate negotiations, the consequence was devastating. In 1880 and 1881, the White River and Uncompahgre Utes were forcibly removed from their beloved Colorado mountain homelands and exiled to the much harsher, arid lands of the Uinta Reservation in northeastern Utah, joining the Uinta Utes already confined there. This was a time of profound grief and loss, a trail of tears away from the peaks that held our spirits. Only the southern Ute bands, Nuche and Capote, and the Wiminuche band managed to remain in a small portion of their ancestral lands in southwestern Colorado, confined to the southern Ute and Ute Mountain Ute reservations. Life on the reservations was incredibly difficult. We were confined, our freedom curtailed. The government continued its policies of assimilation, banning our sun dance, our most sacred ceremony, forcing our children into boarding schools where they were punished for speaking our language, and trying to break up communal land ownership through allotment policies like the Dawes Act. Poverty, disease, and despair were constant companions. Yet, the Nuche spirit endured. We adapted. We found ways to keep our language alive in secret, to pass down our stories, to maintain our kinship ties. We fought for our rights through legal and political channels, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. The Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 offered a slight shift, allowing tribes to form constitutional governments and end allotment, providing a framework for greater self-determination, which the Ute tribes adopted. Cultural revitalization is a priority. We are working tirelessly to teach our Ute language to our youth, to practice our ceremonies like the bear dance and sun dance openly and proudly, and to ensure our history, from our perspective, is known. We run our own schools, health clinics, and tribal courts. Our journey has been one of immense loss, loss of land, loss of life, attacks on our culture. But it is also a story of incredible resilience, adaptation, and survival. We, the Nuche, are still here. We are still in our beloved mountains and valleys, even if our domain is smaller. Our connection to this land remains unbroken. We face challenges today, balancing economic development with environmental protection, addressing social issues stemming from historical trauma, ensuring our treaty rights are honored, and navigating the complexities of the modern world while holding on to our traditions. But look around, see the strength in our communities, hear the laughter of our children learning the ways of their ancestors, feel the power of the drum at our powwows and ceremonies. The spirit of the Nuche, the people of the shining mountains, endures. We honor our past, we live in the present with determination, and we look to the future with hope, committed to ensuring the Ute Nation thrives for generations to come. Tuvo Apache. Until we meet again.